We should be straight now. Yeah, Marcus, you're gonna have to. Oh, you're good. We're good. You change
Am
the
I
video.
good?
Change the video over.
Oh,
Oh, you see that, chat? Look at that. Look at that shit. Okay, so if you're just joining us, we got some new viewers coming in, but we just finished watching the day of global action. We lost you again, Marcus.
well, okay. I should be all right. All right, we good now.
Yeah, we just finished watching the global action rally for against the war against Yemen, the war that's happening in Yemen. Which, if you don't know, there has been since 2015-ish a genocide happening in Yemen that we have supported. The United States and the UK specifically have shipped arms to Saudi Arabia, giving them the ability and even helped them refuel some planes, establish blockades on the country. So, did I turn my volume down? You guys are having trouble hearing me? Here, I'll turn it up on the OBS. How's that? Is that better? Should be a little better. You should be able to hear me a little bit more. Yeah, Lorax is working, you guys. He's got one of those yobs. It's a soft J.
Okay. Bye, me.
Winston's here with us now too. But the war in Yemen has been happening for some time, and it's killed hundreds of thousands of people. There's a manufactured famine that is happening there. And I was talking about on Touring News' stream this morning, actually, shout out to our boy Touring News, about how the Saudis have actually realized that there is an issue with the political will to wage a genocide against their fellow Arabs in Yemen, just south of them. So they've gone to the Sudan and hired mercenaries for peanuts, people who are in desperate circumstances to go fight and die and literally do like fucking suicide charges against the Houthi rebels and other groups that they're combating there. It's horrific in a number of ways, and it is a very, very like postmodern, late stage capitalist conflict, because it's completely ignored. Like one of the speakers said during the rally, Dr. Shireen Ahmed said, like she used to say that Yemen is not a forgotten conflict; it's an ignored one. It is intentionally ignored because the media outlets that would have to cover it would have to acknowledge our complicity in the conflict, which is kind of our thing at Left Flank Vets, acknowledging our complicity in the horrific effects of imperialism across the world. And we wouldn't be doing our job if we weren't acknowledging that right now. The fact that this is a similar byproduct, a similar effect to a nation in the Middle East that the war in Iraq and war in Afghanistan that we perpetuated had. We're not directly involved with this conflict, meaning we don't have boots on the ground in Yemen except for like some special forces and shit, and some like a handful of advisors, I believe. We go in there and fuck shit up and basically give the Saudis all they need to do the genocide for us.
Yeah, no, and I feel like there's like a few different. Thank you so much, Megski. Thanks for being around for 4 months. That's dope. But no, it's like multiple levels too, because like there's no shortage of conflict that the U.S. is not willing to sell arms to. It's just with this, the fact that the Saudi government is involved, it makes it just that much, or like makes the U.S. government just that much more willing to acquiesce.
I know you're hoping and praying that maybe we'll have another war, but it ain't happening.
The pushback.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, there was a Bernie alert that played there for Megski that kind of drowned you out on my end. Yeah, but this global day of action is good because obviously it draws attention to a conflict we are failing to acknowledge in a number of different ways. I mean, what was some highlights for you, Marcus, for people who are just tuning in and didn't get to watch the rally with us? What did you think?
Well, I think seeing Jeremy Corbyn seeing him speak, it's always dope. Seeing Cornel West speak is it's on another level.
Yeah.
But I would have to say the highlight is the substantive things that Ro Khanna was talking about,
Yeah.
which was one is that him and Bernie Sanders are going to do another War Powers Act to stop U.S. Support for supporting Saudi Arabia and their involvement in Yemen, which is intelligence, refueling, and just arms sales. But then also, he had also said he's going to demand that Saudi Arabia pay reparations, which that is, it's another key step, right? Like the I don't know, just Malcolm X, right? The knife in the back, 3 inches, 6 inches. The reparations are an actual part of stopping the atrocities.
They can fucking afford it too, and so can we.
Yeah.
We should pay. We should pay reparations too, because in case you didn't know, the reason that we're supporting the Saudis' effort here is because we're making money off the Saudis. Like Trump said himself when Jamal Khashoggi got assassinated and dismembered in a Saudi embassy, which was a horrific crime. Don't get me wrong. It's horrific and it should be condemned, obviously. Assassination of a journalist, like a planned assassination in an embassy of a journalist is kind of a big fucking deal. But the reasoning that Trump would give when he said, why aren't you going to like cancel any of these deals with Saudi or actually hold them accountable? He's like, they're buying all these planes, these great planes from us. They're getting, the Skrilla.
Yeah.
How am I going to fucking turn down that cheese, man?
Yeah, who cares? War is a racket. We got to make that money.
Mm-hmm. And it's the same reason for Yemen. And it is a bit horrifying that Jamal Khashoggi is tied to a very rich family. And he was a journalist who was published in the Washington Post. And his death, his murder got 10 to 50 times more fucking visibility than the war in Yemen has. I mean, there's more people who know who Jamal Khashoggi was and how he was killed than know that there is a perpetual war happening in Yemen that is causing a famine and a genocide. There's no attention being brought to that fact.
Yeah. No, and so I know that you were on Touring News earlier talking about just the conflict. And I don't know, we can do like a little bit of like I know that there's been plenty of little short videos about kind of like what had happened, or were you going over that while I was gone? But I don't know if it just might be a good idea to say, hey, this is where it started. This is kind of like what the hell is actually going on.
Yeah, actually, I was gonna say there's got to be like a short explainer that's gonna be better than me trying to articulate it here. But I can give a basic overview. So basically, ever since the Arab Spring opened a window of opportunity for a lot of countries to begin to rise up against the monarchies and military dictatorships that have been running their country for decades, right? Egypt, Syria, specifically some of the big ones. Tunisia starts in Tunisia. One Arab Spring starts with literally one food vendor self-immolating, lighting himself on fire because of the oppression that he was subject to by his dictator in Tunisia. So they ousted their dictator and moved to Egypt. Egypt ousts Hosni Mubarak from power there. And in the ensuing years, Arab Spring is 2011. Yes, this is when this happens. In the ensuing years, some military dictators take back over. For example, in Egypt, there is still a military dictatorship now, a new one, There was briefly the Muslim Brotherhood for about a year. They were voted into power because they're a very powerful section of the country. And then they were promptly removed by a military coup about a year later. And yeah, a soft military coup. Yes. There was a whole big push to make sure that the narrative it was that the military was actually taking power from the authoritarians, the Muslim Brotherhood, which was not the case at all. You can be critical of the Muslim Brotherhood. Many people are. I'm happy to be critical of them as well. But the idea that they were authoritarian in any way comparable to what Sisi's government is now is insane. So anyways, Egypt gets taken back over by a military dictatorship. In Yemen, there was an attempt to actually assassinate their leader as part of the Arab Spring, Saleh, who was wounded in the Arab Spring conflict, but it quickly turned into like an insurgency. And the reasoning behind that, which happens in a lot of Middle Eastern countries, is that Yemen has a pretty evenly split population between Sunni and Shia, and the Shia population often is not, marginalized and not represented in the government. And there's also like a rural tribal to urban like city conflict that happens, and often that is broke down along sectarian lines as well. So basically a protracted insurgency.
I am a phoenix rising from the ashes.
God damn, those alerts are going to scare the shit out of me every time. A protracted insurgency happens. The Houthi rebels, which is a sect of Shiism, continued to wage war against the government, and it basically rubbed the Saudis the wrong way because they do not want a Shia power to their south along the Arabian Peninsula. They do not want a Shia nation there because it will rival their hegemony in the region. It will threaten their hegemony as a Sunni-aligned oil monarch, one of the Khaliji countries, they call them. So they have been perpetuating a war, a protracted counterinsurgency against these rebels to make sure that doesn't happen. And that is, of course, resulting in a whole bunch of horrifying tactics that they are partaking in, like manufactured famine to regions of the country that are supportive of the rebel cause, which is resulting in hundreds of thousands of civilian deaths. Yemen is already one of the worst off countries in the Middle East, poverty-wise. There's a tremendous amount of poverty there. In fact, the majority of the country does not have access to clean water. Literally, tens of people die every day from diseases related to drinking dirty water or not having access to water at all in Yemen without a conflict. Yemen will be one of the first countries to actually run out of water, and they do not have the investment to actually invest in things to create things like desalination plants that would allow them to use the ocean water and pump it throughout the country. When they run out of water, like that will be a famine and a genocide unto itself, because it will be encouraged and allowed by the international community. But they're just speeding things along. They're basically trying to choke out, lay siege to an insurgency that is inconvenient for them. And the West is choosing to ignore it because the Saudis have money and have the oil that we need. That's the basic overview.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw that little video in there, and that's like a kind of a decent one, I think. With
oh, where is it?
I just sent you the signal.
Under the donate link?
No. Oh shit!
You sent me the wrong link.
How am I watching this?
Yeah, let's watch if you got a good explainer here besides me just rambling on from my...
Yeah, there you go. My bad.
Sick. Stand by, chat. We're going to watch something together. We're going to take a little field trip. Let me get some field trip emotes in the chat.
Do 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 do.
Let's talk about what's going on in Yemen.
Oh, hell yeah. They went through. Beep, beep.
What's up? Oh, your chat?
I think the bus ones, it took a little while for those ones to come through.
Nice.
It took a little longer review.
Let's see if I can get this to work on the YouTubes here.
Oh, get on the YouTubes.
No, not that one. Fuck.
Here
we go. Got it.
Oh, cool.
Go ahead. I'll wait.
Well, no, I was just gonna say, or if you just while you're transitioning, and when you say like manufactured famine and some of these like outbreaks, cholera specifically, it's completely strictly like due to either like beginning poor leadership, then like blockade, and actually like attacks and everything like that. And now it just continues on and on and on. And there's really no getting any better. Like as Stick said, like it's essentially just attrition warfare, right? Pretty simple. Of like, hey, if you've surrounded a castle, it doesn't really matter if you get in there, right? If you've got time and you've got the castle surrounded, it's just a waiting game. But the people inside that castle are going to die a very slow and terrible fucking death. And that's basically happening in an entire country.
And all you have to do is just make sure that what little aid is offered to them cannot get through.
Yep.
And you starve them out. All right, let's watch this video here. Watch my very professional transition. Oh, what up? Did you see that shit? Okay.
The United Nations says it has the worst humanitarian crisis on the planet. And in a world with all sorts of problems, that is saying something. Yemen went from being the heart of ancient Arabia to one of the poorest countries in the Middle East. And for the last 5 years, it's been torn apart by war. Local groups on the ground are fighting each other, while a Saudi-led coalition bombs from above. And caught in the fighting are millions of Yemenis desperately struggling to survive. So how did things get so bad, and is there a way out? I'm Sandra Gottman, and this is Start Here, Al Jazeera's brand new show where we break down all of the big stories from the fast-paced and often confusing world of news. The first thing to know about the war in Yemen is that there's a lot of players, starting with this man, Ali Abdullah Saleh. He was Yemen's president for 20 years since 1990. This is a man who once compared ruling over Yemen to dancing on the heads of snakes. It's no wonder that during the Arab Spring of 2011, Yemenis rose up against Saleh in the hope that things might get better. But they didn't. And this is where the next big player comes in, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is the most influential member.
They nearly took him out
countries
during
known
the
as
Arab
the
Spring
Gulf
too. Like I
Cooperation
said,
Council.
he
And
got
it was
hit
the
with an
GCC
RPG
that oversaw negotiations
or shrapnel
to
from
finally
one.
force Saleh out. The GCC's deal helped install a new government in Yemen and put Vice President Abdrabbu Mansur Hadi in charge.
Yemen continued to suffer under President Hadi. After the revolution, the initiatives that had come out of the revolution were brokered by Gulf powers who simply appeared to return the same old elites to power.
So by 2014, some of Yemen's factions began to lose patience. One of them was the Houthis, another major player in this war. Now, the Houthis are a Shia Muslim minority from northern Yemen. They say they've been marginalized and often rebelled against the government. And during the Arab Spring, they were very involved in the uprisings against Saleh. But here's the twist. The Houthis and Saleh were both sidelined by the GCC's plans for Yemen's new government. So the former enemies joined forces. The Houthis, together with some of Saleh's allies still in the army, took over Yemen's capital Sana'a in 2014. Hadi fled to Saudi Arabia, and then the Saudis, along with several other countries, formed a coalition to return their man Hadi to power.
And Saudi Arabia expressed three main war aims. It wanted
Very
to
simple, you guys.
restore
Not
the
complicated
government
at
of
all.
President Hadi. It wanted
The
to
simple part
protect
is how
its own
we did the
southern
worst
border and
thing
to
we
prevent
possibly
Yemen
could
from
do.
fragmenting,
The West.
and it wanted to contain
We intervened
the
in
perceived
fucked
growing
ways.
influence of Iran in the region.
We'll come back to Iran in a second, but first we have to talk about the Saudi-led intervention. It was a campaign of relentless airstrikes. More than 19,000 attacks in the last 4 years, according to the latest reports. Saudi-led forces say they've been targeting the enemy, but rights groups accuse the coalition of bombing dozens of hospitals and schools, killing thousands of Yemeni civilians.
Just like we do.
Which brings us to Yemen's immense humanitarian crisis. In this war, it's not just the fighting that's causing all the suffering. Even aid is being used as a weapon. In 2015, the Saudi-led coalition created a land, sea, and air barrier around Yemen, making it almost impossible for supplies to get in or out. The Houthis are also blamed for blocking, destroying, or taking aid, and Yemenis desperately need it.
Today's only meal is a plate of plain boiled rice between the family.
Cholera cases are spreading fast.
Doctors are facing a severe shortage of drugs.
In a country of 29 million people, the UN says 24 million depend on some kind of humanitarian help. That's nearly the entire population of Australia.
More than 11 million.
29 million total population, 24 million dependent upon foreign aid.
This is rapidly becoming the world's worst humanitarian disaster.
Now let's get back to the war, because fighting is still going on, but the dynamics have changed. The Houthi and Saleh alliance we talked about earlier broke down in 2017 after they fought the Saudi-led forces for 3 years. In fact, Saleh switched sides on TV, saying he wanted to talk to the coalition. 2 days later, the Houthis killed him. Today, the Houthis still control Yemen's
Get
capital,
wrecked,
Sana'a,
bitch.
and for now, they have an upper hand in the war.
Fuck you, Saleh.
But Saudi
Give a
Arabia
shit about
thinks
that
it's
fucking dude.
because they're getting help from Iran. Now, as the biggest Shia power in the region, Iran has openly supported the Houthis, but denies backing them militarily. But Saudi Arabia and others insist Iran does have a hand in the fighting. Recently, Saudi Arabia's oil facilities were attacked. The Houthis say they did it, but the coalition and its allies aren't buying it.
It is clear, based on detailed exploitation conducted by Saudi, United States, and other international investigative teams, that the weapons used in the attack were Iranian-produced.
So when people talk about Yemen being a proxy war, this is what they mean. It's the fact that two major rivals, Saudi Arabia and Iran, are backing opposite sides in a foreign war. So are all the other countries in Saudi's coalition. Plus, allies like the United States, France, and the United Kingdom, who've been supplying them with weapons and logistical support. Not to mention all of Yemen's armed groups, including the Houthis, secessionist groups in the south, Al-Qaeda, and ISIL.
Straight up Cold War shit. There's a Cold War between Saudi Arabia and Iran. Has been.
Certaines de ces violations sont susceptibles de constituer des crimes de guerre.
So this is where we're at. A stalemate of finger-pointing and fighting by all of those different players, despite the UN's many attempts at peace deals and ceasefires. But as with any war, experts say diplomacy will be the only way to put an end to the nightmare in Yemen.
Damn. Very good explainer. 1 second, I think she's going to pitch her show here. So let me just.
Or a topic you want to get your head around, get in touch with us on Twitter or Facebook. Also, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss an episode.
Oh, they have one on Saudi Arabia and Iran's Cold War too.
You
want to?
Yeah.
Okay, let's watch that too. I'm down.
Let's talk about how the Cold War between Saudi Arabia and Iran is running hot.
Then we'll chat after this one. It's a short video, 7 minutes chat.
Called the Ayatollah Khamenei the new Hitler of the Middle East.
If you want to look for a threat, you look at Saudi Arabia.
They've been going at it in one way or another for a long time now.
Nobody's winning hearts and minds. It's really coming at the expense of ordinary Middle Easterners.
Yes.
So why can't Iran and Saudi Arabia get along? What's this modern-day Cold War mean for the rest of us? And what do other countries, like the US and Russia, have to do with it?
Poor and innocent suffer in cold wars. And actual ones too, but in cold wars, proxy wars, just falls
Saudi
in the back
Arabia
of
and
civilians.
Iran are undisputed heavyweights in the Middle East, and when one of them lands a punch, we all feel it. Some say it's a fight for regional dominance, political and economic. Others say they're challenging each other to be seen as the leader of the Muslim world, even though most Muslims don't live in the Middle East. They each represent a different sect, Sunni in Saudi Arabia, Shia in Iran.
This is part of the competitive dynamic between the two, where both states actually very much rely on religious legitimacy as a pillar of governance.
Saudi Arabia is home to Mecca and Medina, the two holiest sites in Islam. The Saudis also host the Hajj pilgrimage, so that gives them power and standing. The kingdom's dominant form of Sunni Islam is Wahhabism, which is a strict and orthodox interpretation. Its followers consider the Shia heretics. Both the Saudis and the Iranians, though, are accused of exploiting those religious divisions. One example is what happened a few years back. About 10 to 15% of the Saudi population is Shia. They often say they're oppressed. And in 2016, a well-known Shia
They
leader
definitely
and
are
critic
oppressed.
of the Saudi monarchy, Nimr al-Nimr, was executed. His crimes included terrorism. Iran condemned his killing, and a crowd set the Saudi embassy on fire.
The post-revolutionary regime in Iran has promoted Shia religion and tried to challenge Saudi religious authority.
What they're really competing for, though, is influence. And the Iranians seem to have the upper hand when it comes to military alliances in the region. In Lebanon, there's Hezbollah, a militia with a political wing funded by Iran. Hamas in the Gaza Strip also gets Iranian support. In Syria and Iraq, there are forces backed by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. And there's a reason why Iran's taken that approach. It just doesn't have as big an army as the US and Saudi Arabia.
No, and they're very good at doing this.
The name Qasem Soleimani.
For that reason.
He was the Iranian general credited with developing Iran's guerrilla-style operations abroad. The Americans assassinated him a year ago.
Tehran has become very skilled in its low-cost, opportunistic foreign policy. Riyadh hasn't developed a very robust toolkit regionally.
So let's bring back that map. Where are the Saudis? Well, one place they're in is Yemen, fighting Houthi rebels, who, as it turns out, are also backed by Iran. And the war in Yemen has really heated up the Saudi-Iran rivalry. The Houthis attacked Saudi oil facilities, and there have been explosions on oil tankers. Iran's been blamed, but they deny being involved. And what happens in those shipping lanes of the Gulf and Red Sea?
Both those
is solved by
conflicts,
everyone,
real quick,
because it
I'm
affects
gonna, or both those incidents, I should say, she's referring to. There's been a couple of oil tankers that have gotten blown up, and the drone attack that happened on the Saudi oil field. If you remember, there was brief times during both of those incidents where the Trump administration started banging the fucking war drum, where we nearly went to war with Iran. And people like Bolton, when he was still in the Trump administration, who's now a lib hero, are guys who have been banging that war drum for a long, long time. So they were trying to, when Trump says, like, when he fires these idiots like Bolton, and then afterwards is like, this idiot just wanted us to go to war all the time, like, he's not lying. Like Trump is dumb and a war. I mean, has no problem killing people, has no problem starting shit. But like, he's worried about the political ramifications it'll have on him personally. Like, that's why he was skeptical of like getting involved in a protracted quagmire in like Iran, is because he's worried it might reflect poorly on him, especially with all the shit he said about Iraq. But yeah, those two little incidents where the fucking oil tankers got blown up and the Saudi oil fields, not a single life was lost on either of those incidents. But we really started banging the war drum about how dare they hurt our interests in the Middle East? How dare the Iranians interfere? It's not proven that they did either of those things. They almost certainly did, but who gives a fuck? Who gives a flying fuck? I will not, like, oh my God, I can't believe we need to, our hearts go out to all the oil tankers that were lost in this conflict, in their families.
Won't you think of the property? Won't you think of the oil? Okay? Come on.
Right? All right, let's continue. Sorry.
The price of oil.
The waters of the Red Sea are absolutely crucially important for the oil price and the delivery of millions of barrels of oil every day.
Iran has made some other powerful friends, like Russia and China. They're investing a lot in Iran, in its ports and military, and doing business at a time when Iran's economy has been under sanctions.
I am a phoenix rising from the ashes.
Countries in the Gulf, Sudan, Egypt, even Israel to some extent. Their trump card, though, is the US. They both can't stand Iran, but that wasn't always the case. Back in the 50s, Iran and the US bonded over a coup that got rid of Iran's prime minister and strengthened the monarchy under the Shah. Some say that's when Saudi Arabia began seeing it.
She's leaving out a little bit of context here. Bonded over a coup. It wasn't just a thing that happened. We did it. The CIA has a wing in their museum dedicated to our involvement in making that coup a reality. The democratically elected leader, Mossadegh, the parliamentarian leader of Iran, was overthrown by religious zealots with our... Oh, no, sorry, not religious. That was later. That was... I'm confusing the two. There's a later... that directly led to the Iranian Revolution in 1979. So in 1953, we helped the Reza Shah Pahlavi, the fucking monarch, the authoritarian monarch, come back to Iran and come back to power after they ousted him.
Yeah, and like ousted and then and fucking like banished him, right? Like,
yes,
the motherfucker was, and like I want to just like that word banished, because like when I was like growing up, I thought banishment was something that like happened hundreds of years prior to my life, but like there was a dude that sucked so bad he was lucky to get out of there with his fucking life.
Well, that's the so modern day exile and banishment isn't usually from world leaders, isn't usually because they were like tried by a people's court and told to leave. It was that they were pounding at the gates, so they hopped in their super yacht and floated away. So they knew that if they stayed, they would be killed.
Yeah, which important point, right? It's not like an official banishment decree. It's like, motherfucker, if you come back on this block, we're gonna kill you.
Yeah. I mean, it's a similar, like it's not the same really, but like the dynamic there is similar to Navalny, who just returned to Russia after he was most definitely poisoned by the state, by the KGB and Putin, and returned to immediately be detained, which would normally be almost a certain death, which they still think they'll probably kill him. They'll wait a while and do it in some surreptitious way like they like to do, where Putin can do a wink and a nod.
Well, yeah, exactly, right. He's going to, die by suicide, 2 shots to his own head while he jumped out of the window of, of a jail cell, like, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like one of those type of like bullshit ass things.
Anywho, let's get back to Iran. I just wanted to add this context that this coup in 1953 didn't just happen and we bonded over it. We made it happen.
Iran as a competitor.
The Shah of Iran was trying to rapidly modernize the country and, if not westernize the country. And so there was also tensions of competition that began to play out.
But then the Islamic Revolution happened. The Shah was replaced by a powerful Shia cleric, Ayatollah Khomeini, and the balance of power in the region tilted away from the Americans.
It's a really important starting point for the obvious reason that the monarchy was replaced by a revolutionary Islamic government.
Their relationship only got worse from there. Iranian students took 52 Americans hostage at the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. And don't forget, Iraq invaded Iran with Saudi and American help. But where the Iranians failed to hang on to their American friends, the Saudis succeeded despite some serious strains. Like how the Saudis didn't back the U.S. invasion of Iraq, how 15 of the hijackers behind the 9/11 attacks were Saudi, and how the Saudi crown prince was linked to the dismemberment of Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi. So how did the alliance survive?
It wasn't linked. He
Well,
did
it
it.
might have something to do with the Saudis.
He was
buying
watching it on
more
a live
weapons from
video
the
feed
US
as
than
they
anyone
murdered and
else.
dismembered him.
The United States is also Saudi Arabia's second largest trading partner, and the Americans buy a lot of Saudi oil. And then there's Iran's nuclear program. The Saudis are worried about Iran's potential to build a bomb, so the kingdom is building its own nuclear research facilities and has been accused of buying atomic weapons from Pakistan, something they both deny. And remember the Iran nuclear deal? Well, it was about countries like the US and Russia, as well as the EU, monitoring Iran's nuclear program in exchange for lifting economic sanctions. But Saudi Arabia felt it didn't go far enough. The US under President Donald Trump felt the same. He pulled out of the deal in 2018. Now, though, Joe Biden is expected to try to patch things up with Iran and renegotiate. The Saudis aren't impressed, neither are the Israelis. And in November, the man seen as the father of Iran's nuclear program was assassinated. Iran blamed Israel, which neither confirmed nor denied it was involved.
It was Israel.
Our long-standing policy is not to comment on such things, so I'm not going to do that now.
So you'd think that with such an intense rivalry, Saudi Arabia and Iran would have gone to war already. But neither side seems to want that.
There's a chance of something happening always. I don't think that there is a high chance of a direct war between Tehran and Riyadh. Had that been the case, we would have seen it in 2019.
What's kind of surprising is Saudi Arabia and Iran actually have stuff in common. They're big oil exporters. They say they're champions of the Palestinian cause, and they both want to modernize their economies.
It's getting
Those
a little
are good
lib
starting
here.
points to work together. But right now, they're in deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is better than most media or non-existent media on these subjects, right? Because it's Al Jazeera, but it's it's it leaves a little something to be desired when you're like, they have a lot in common, you guys. Like, for real, like they also, have oil and they can.
Yeah.
That's a good starting point for their economies and friendship.
And that's the thing, is like, I'm happy that you were, chiming in at some point. Overall, I think it was like a lot of good information there, but yeah, there were some points where it's just like, you could see where Al Jazeera is growing as a media corporation.
Yeah, well, especially trying to, I mean, Jon Stewart used to put it like, Al Jazeera was the place that Bin Laden used to send his mixtapes to, so like that like there were literally people in the United States, you'd ask them about Al Jazeera and they'd be like, isn't that a terrorist network? Because the only time they would hear about Al Jazeera would be when Bin Laden would release a new mixtape. But they are a massive force in the Middle East of journalistic force. Like it's and many of like those many media outlets in the Middle East are literally funded by one nation state or another. Al Jazeera has funding from a couple different nation states, and they have, in fact, they have trouble publishing things that are critical of Israel even. Bin Laden has a SoundCloud you can subscribe to now, you guys.
And that, I don't know where I got this from. I want to say Michael Brooks. But we're just talking about like media outlets and stuff like that. It's like, it's not necessarily about finding the right one, but it's about finding the right group that conflict with each other, because there's like, if you have an outlet that's got some sort of journalistic integrity, i.e. they won't tell you lies, then you can utilize them in order to find some good critical stuff of other countries, right? So like Al Jazeera, when talking about the, I think beforehand, maybe a little bit different now, but talking about the West and other imperialistic countries, or we're just giving like a much better synopsis of what's going on in the Middle East.
Yes, at least they view it from a lens that is directly affecting to them, and not the lens that, like, Western media is trained to believe, like, and this is the thing that's made fun of. It's almost hack to point out, but it's like, is made fun of in Western media now is like, if Western media was reporting on the U.S. as, right, the state of the United States right now, as it does other countries and political conflicts, like it would be hilarious because it would literally be like authoritarian, groups have taken over in the capital, like kind of shit, like and now like centrist forces have ousted a leader in a democratic election. Like they would talk about it in terms that would like be jarring to you, referring to your own country, but are never jarring to us when they're referencing other countries.
It would start being like, more attacks from, warlord dictatorship, United States of America, as they broaden their global hegemony. Like it would be like talking like that because like that's actually like what happens, right? That's what's happening.
I mean, you need to look no further than how we characterized the fucking Bolivian election not too long ago. Like the way that we tried to say that it was stolen. Evo Morales stole it, and he. It would genuinely be the same as a media outlet, unironically, in the United States saying Biden stole this election. That's how much evidence there was that he stole that election. Yet he was ousted by fucking right-wing psychos. Like what happened in Bolivia was what people were afraid of happening with Trump here in this past election. They were afraid that he would hold on to power or basically take power from a democratically elected leader by maintaining power. Oh yeah, OAN did say that Biden stole it. Yes, but I mean those are psycho outlets. Like all of Western media, like New York Times, Washington Post, CBS News, like all of those outlets were saying that Morales stole it in Bolivia, which is not true.
Yeah.
We expect OAN to say psycho shit.
Speaking of, right now Biden is doing a live. He's answering questions.
Oh shit! Do you want to go watch some Come On Mans? Let's go, Jack.
And it
got a
actually
link?
looks. Yeah, I just sent it to you. It looks like it's getting a little heated here.
Is his brain busted? Or it's pretty late in the day for Sundown and Joe to be in. Oh, look at his squint. Oh my God, his face. He looks like he's. Holy shit! Someone just shoved a lemon up his ass. Okay, guys, it's coming in.
I don't know. It looks like he's like trying to. Oh yeah, he's about to put his mask on. Damn it!
Oh, is he done already?
It looks like he's about to finish up here. Yeah. He just put his mask on, so I doubt he'd be doing that if it wasn't about to leave.
Okay, well, let me see if I can get it up, anyways, real quick.
Well, I think you should be able to even like go back and we can just watch it.
Yeah.
Go on the YouTube. That was honestly one of my favorite parts of the debates, and for the going to the presidential election, when Bernie Sanders was like, "No, you said you were going to cut Social Security. You said you're going to cut VA benefits," and Joe Biden's like, "Come on, man! You said that? You sound like Corn Pop lying.
You're nothing but a flabbergasted chicken jerky."
Yeah. You just nothing but a mealy-mouthed oil can, Jack. Like,
here we
go on the YouTube and you find
the number of infections go up. Then you see the hospitalizations go up. Then you see the deaths go up. And so we're in this for a while. I mean, what are we now? About 410,000 deaths? And there's going to be more. The prediction, as I said from the very beginning of getting here, after being sworn in, was the predictions were we're going to see somewhere between a total of 600,000 and 660,000 deaths before we begin to turn the corner in a major way. So, and again, remember, the vaccine, most of the people taking the vaccine, a vast significant number, require 2 shots, and they are an average of 3 weeks apart, and it takes time for it to be sure that you get to that 95% assurance rate. And so it's beginning to move, but I'm confident we will beat this. We will beat this, but we're still going to be talking about this in the summer. we're still going to be dealing with this issue in the early fall. And last point I'll make, and I know you're tired of hearing me saying it, particularly you may be tired of hearing me saying it, and that is that if we wear masks between now and the end of April, the experts tell us we can save 50,000 lives. 50,000 people otherwise would die. Thank you so very much.
Oh. All right.
Hey everyone, I'm Allison Morris. We were watching NBC.
Go back and watch a little bit of Joe, see what they were talking about, or
yeah, can I?
NBC News
This was live, so I don't think I can rewind.
Yeah, you should be able to just.
Oh yeah, I can. Duh.
Yeah, you can't do it on Twitch, but YouTube.
How long was he talking for? Damn.
I don't know that I don't like, maybe just we go to the question and answer period, because that seems like a long fucking time.
Okay.
Oh, a half hour or something like that. Is that what it is?
It looks like this might be a changeover right here. Yeah, he's signing some shit. So.
Okay. Executive orders and whatnot.
Here you go, now.
So actually, I know one of them was the repealing the transgender ban.
Oh yeah, he did that.
Thank you, Mr. President. Jonathan Lemire with the Associated Press. Two topics, if I may. The first, you have made reopening schools a central part of your first 100 days agenda, and you've long portrayed yourself as an ally to the teachers and the unions. Right now, the Chicago Teachers Union has refused. They've defied an order to return to in-person classes.
FYI, chat, this is no longer live. The press conference is over. We're just reviewing the Q&A portion.
Do you believe, sir, that teachers should return to schools now?
I believe we should make school classrooms safe and secure for the students, for the teachers, and for the help that's in those schools maintaining the facilities. We need new ventilation systems in those schools. We need testing for people coming in and out of the classes. We need testing for teachers as well as students. And we need the capacity.
Yes.
The capacity to know that, in fact,
How about a fucking
the circumstance
textbook?
in the school is safe and secure.
What point is it going to the school if you can't even buy basic school supplies? You're going to put in a state-of-the-art ventilation system so you can't fucking teach anything?
That every school should be thoroughly sanitized.
Yes.
From the laboratories to the hallways.
Also, it doesn't matter. Sanitization doesn't matter.
School districts
like
that I'm aware of,
fomite transition of corona is extremely low.
All those pieces
like
be in
in order for you to pick up corona from a surface, it has to have almost immediately prior been breathed upon. So unless you're wiping things down 24/7 every 3 seconds, it doesn't matter.
Have plastic dividers between their booths and in their restaurants, etc. To make sure they can sanitize.
You don't value
so it's not so much about the idea teachers aren't going to work.
Yes.
The teachers I know, they want to work. They just want to work in a safe environment
I know
and
they want to
as
work,
safe as we can rationally make it.
They want to
and
live.
we can do that.
The teachers I know
we should be able to open up every school.
You're cutting out a little bit, Marcus. I'm not sure if it's a distance from the mic or what.
Administer these tests. And it'll have the added advantage, I might add, of putting millions of people back to work. All those mothers and fathers that are home taking care of their children rather than go to work even when they can work. They're not able to do it unless they have the luxury of working distance-wise like many of us do. They're not able to do it. And so this is about generating economic growth overall as well.
Yeah, and the reason teachers want to go back to work, by the way, I'm just going to pause this real quick. The reason teachers want to go back to work is because distance learning is incredibly difficult. And it doesn't really work, right? It's incredibly difficult to teach. It's incredibly difficult for the kids. Everyone fucking hates it. Now, I don't see a better option than that. Having said that, like, we should acknowledge that reality. It's especially difficult because there's no investment in the students themselves to be having the resources or to be able to actually partake in a meaningful way in distance learning, or the teachers to be able to conduct it. So it's a funding issue at its base, but also it is incredibly difficult for a child to do distance learning. I'm doing distance learning via college, and I suck at it. and I am an adult man. It's very hard for me to concentrate and like actually partake in discussions and stuff in a real meaningful way and retain information. I know it's not nearly as good as in-person instruction, but does that mean I want to advocate for a reopening of schools? No. I would literally rather have kids miss an entire year of school and like feign at distance learning.
The thing is, like, yeah, like this is where the thing is, like, if they actually gave a shit about kids going back to schools, it's simple. If you actually give a shit about people going back to work, it's simple. If you actually give a shit about the most important thing, right, saving human lives, it's fucking simple. All of those things require the same reaction to a fucking pandemic, right? Which is a very strict lockdown. Okay? And then once you get control of where the disease is, oh, guess what? Then you are allowed then to start getting back into regular life. And we're seeing this happen around the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, is like, it doesn't really fucking matter whether Joe, like, Biden thinks, and that's like smart, not smart, whatever the fuck, politically able to do so, not politically able to do so. This motherfucker says he believes in science, and he's lying to your fucking face.
Yeah.
Because this type of, oh, hey, we just need to sanitize it, you know, like Dick went into, it's fucking bullshit. It's horse shit. The teachers I know, him saying the teachers I know want to go back to work. That's horse shit.
Yeah, the cleaning thing is literally like what they refer to, like the TSA being security theater, right? Like the idea that like all of these contraptions and institutions that you see the work being done, it makes you feel safer. Like that's what the cleaning services and shit is about, because you know what's cheap to do is it's cheap labor to put janitors' lives at risk. It's cheap to get hand sanitizer. It's cheap to get Lysol. So if you go around and go, look, no corona, I just killed it all. How could it survive? Then it's a cheap way for you to feign at actually doing something and keeping people safe. But it doesn't keep anyone safe. I'm sorry, I interrupted you, Marcus. Do you have more to say?
No, I was gonna just double down on some of the things that you were saying before about even for the students who would be able to, you know, utilize online learning, you know, like, so like high school kid, if they're just at the maturation, and also too, it's like, that's not even like, because there's plenty of people, no matter who you are, where online learning isn't going to be conducive to your learning style, right? So, but like at the end of the day, some of the other things that you're mentioning up is just the physical apparatus in order to be online is not something that everybody has. And before the pandemic, there's plenty of people that understand that across the board broadband, Bernie Sanders being one of them, is something that's just necessary, right? Like in the fucking Constitution, they understood that coast to coast, wherever you fucking go, you have a means of connection, i.e. the U.S. Postal Service, was paramount to establishing an actual fucking nation. You know what I'm saying? So I shit on these guys all the fucking time. That was one fucking thing, right? They got one right. What they didn't get right was, like, they didn't put it enough in, like, plain enough English that these assholes right fucking now can understand what they were actually trying to do. It has nothing to do with physical mail. It has everything to do with the means to communicate. And right now, there are kids, there are adults, there are fucking geriatrics, old folks that have zero fucking access. So that means work, that means medicine, that means school. They have almost no access to it at this time. And if they do go to get it, they now put themselves at risk, and then they put their families at risk, and they put their communities at risk.
Mm-hmm. You know what's funny? So you just you reminded me. I gave a shout out to our boy Touring News earlier. I'm going to do it again because I was watching his stream for a couple hours today, and he was covering a big thing that's happening right now, the World Economic Forum in Davos. The fucking libs united of the world. And
Betsy Davos.
Yeah, the Betsy Davos conference. Yeah, Touring News does some very great content. You should definitely check out Touring. I don't think we have a Nightbot command set up for him. But if somebody could drop the link to his Twitch in the chat, please, I'd appreciate it. But anyways, he was covering Davos, and every single panel that he was looking at, I shit you not, like someone in the chat asked, like, they're literally not discussing a solution to any of these problems. They're just discussing around the problems, which is usually how most conferences go. Conferences are fucking useless. They're just there for you to network with other people so you can jerk each other off and talk about how great you guys are and what the great things you're doing. Talk about how there needs to be fixing of further problems. But I shit you not, the way that the methodology for dancing around to not talking about solutions is the same, like, across the board. And the way, what they say all the time is, how do we solve these problems? Well, we need to invest and look at things in technology and innovation. Anytime you hear those words put together, technology and innovation, that person wants to fuck poor people. They do not.
Not, like, that's, he's like, not in a good way. Okay.
Yes. Fuck them in the ways they don't want to be fucked. Financially fucked. Yeah. They want to fuck poor people because it's technology innovation, and an innovation furtherance of technology innovation is a magic word. It's a magic wand that you're supposed to wave to fix problems, and it doesn't work like that. The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer.
If Davos was actually about benefit to society whatsoever, every single penny that is spent on it, which I'd be interested to figure out, like, what it is, but to include, the rental fees for any areas they're in, to hotels, to the flights and all that shit like that. Just calculate all that fucking money and then just give it to poor people.
Ooh, actually,
it'd be better if they just did that.
Shit. I want to watch after this. We'll watch some more of this, but I want to watch a video from a couple years back. Rutger Bregman at the World Economic Forum. A rate lump just brought up, like, they always avoid one possible solution, which is taxing them, which means we should be taxing them. Yes.
Oh yeah. I did want to mention, I was watching Touring News today, and then it's like they got this guy, which I know that you were on at the same time, and I think even the Bleep Bomb Ben was there, but like, this dude was just fucking awful, and he's like, well, you can't think of capital in just financial capital, okay? There's you're talking about
Klaus, okay? Klaus, the head of the World Economic Forum.
Yes. Oh, he's
literally a Bond villain. This guy, like, he looks exactly like Ernest Stavro Blofeld, I presume. Like, the guy who's Dr. Evil is modeled off of in Austin Powers, the Bond villain Blofeld. He looks just like him, and he speaks with a thick German accent.
He looks like a bald eagle that was pickled in piss for 100 years and then boiled. Like, he is just like disgusting human being, inside and out.
Yeah,
like, the inward darkness, it manifests itself outward.
Yeah, the architect of the Great Reset. They're talking about the Great Reset a lot this year too. This is why, like, things like Davos are why QAnon looks appealing. Yes. Like, when I watch Davos, I want to join QAnon. That's how bad it is.
Yes, and it's like the people that are there, you half expected them that they are, like, sticking children in little, like, adrenochrome extraction machines, because, like, they do look that terrible.
Well, what they're saying is a version of that, right? Like, they're literally talking about, like, talking around issues to a degree, that they're speaking about the logical ways of extracting wealth. I mean, the head of the UN did a speech during the Economic Forum today too, that I couldn't fucking believe he said the quiet part out loud. He said, I used to think, we used to think that, the concentration of capital was a necessity for economic growth, and which we believed economic growth was a necessity too, right? Which means that there had to be economic inequality, right? So like we believed in, like, we as a body were for perpetuating economic inequality, but we're not like that anymore. Now what we believe is that it turns out having a lot of economic inequality creates an unstable situation for the world writ large. Go figure. A bunch of people who literally can't afford to fucking buy medicine for themselves, or fucking food for their back, or a fucking roof, clothes on their back, food for their mouth, or a roof over their head. Go figure. That makes for an unstable political situation, which they're nervous about now. So now they've decided to change their tune a little bit. They used to think that it was just a simple calculation that you had to be fucked royally out of your surplus value, out of your surplus labor, in order for them to achieve the economic growth that they fucking put on a pedestal. And now they're saying, well, actually, that's a bad idea. We're going to change our tune. Too late, motherfucker. Too late.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. No, it's like they're only saying it in a certain, like in a certain sense, right? Because like that, like on that same panel where like the fucking damn pickled bald eagle and piss, there was a lady that was like say almost like she was just say neo-lib shit, and in this context, it was like, oh wow, that kind of sounds good. But it's like it's only because you got fucking Scrooge McDuck on the other side. So yeah, she was saying like, oh well, government just needs to, tilt the scales, right, in favor of the working class and all that shit like that. And it's like, no, like you don't need to tilt the scales.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of these people need to be in fucking prison.
Yeah. Like
that's what you need to fucking do.
Tilt the motherfucking guillotine.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what do you mean tilt the scale?
Let's do a little tilt action. The tilted blade. It goes like this. Ka-chunk.
To Central Park so that we can allow the next bus of inmates to come in.
Yeah, they were talking a lot of things about like, I love this. Every couple of years, some big thinker or fucking Bond villain psycho thinks of a new adjective to throw in front of the word capitalism to make it sound more appealing. So it used to be conscious capitalism. Their new thing is stakeholder capitalism. That's what they were talking about a lot today.
Yeah.
Stakeholder capitalism.
Right. So like the government and the people, they're also stakeholders, but in the same way that they didn't have any say in what happens before. They're stakeholders like that now, right? You're stakeholders, but we just don't give a fuck what you say still. But we're going to call you stakeholders now.
Thinking of how Dominic Green tried to control Bolivia's water supply in Quantum of Solace. Yes, literally that. That was like, what, 2008 that movie came out? Love that movie, by the way. Quantum of Solace gets a lot of shit. It's a good movie. Fuck you if you think it's bad. It's in my opinion, it's the last good Daniel Craig Bond movie. Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace are two good ones. All the rest of them after that suck. That's an unpopular opinion, but one I'll stand by.
Which was the one where he got tortured sitting in the chair? And,
that's Casino Royale.
Okay, that was the last Bond movie that I felt like I wanted to watch.
Really?
And then everyone after that, I was just scared there's going to be another scene of that nature.
I loved it. That scene is very like off-putting, but like it's a good ending because he starts laughing and going like, "You're gonna die scratching my balls." It's like such a shitpost response to
yeah.
You're gonna die scratching my balls. I don't like Skyfall, Lucas. I don't think it's good. I'm sorry. A lot of people like it. I thought it was dog shit. They changed writers and stuff after that. I didn't like it. What's that?
I feel like I've watched them all. Is just like that was like Casino Royale was just like the last one that I was just like, oh yeah, this is gonna be dope. But then everyone after that, I was just like, well, I hope they don't have another scene where they're crashing a fucking mace into a dude's ball sack, because that wasn't fun.
So we're way off track now. Now that we're talking about malleting ball sacks, let's get back to Joe answering some questions. It's going to feel like we're getting our ball sacks malleted. There's my segue.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Is his eye
I'm
fucked?
Alex Alper from Reuters. I wanted to ask a question about Navalny. If you are considering imposing sanctions on any of the individuals involved in his attempted poisoning and or his arrest when he returned from Germany, and if not, is that related to your concerns about it potentially derailing a New START extension? Thank you.
I find that we can both operate in the mutual self-interest of our countries as a New START agreement and make it clear to Russia that we are very concerned about their behavior, whether it's Navalny, whether it's the solar winds, or whether it's reports of bounties on the heads of Americans in Afghanistan. I've asked the agencies in question to do a thorough read for me on every one of those issues to update me precisely where they are, and I will not hesitate to raise those issues with the Russians.
We're looking into it, folks. We're looking in bigly.
A question about your COVID relief deal. On Friday, you said the nation is in a national emergency. We should act like it. Given the scale and the severity of the need, how long are you willing to get sufficient Republican support before you would greenlight Democrat attempts to use reconciliation, for instance, to pass that bill?
Well, look, the decision on reconciliation will be one made by the leaders of the House and the Senate. But here's the deal. I have been doing legislative negotiations for a large part of my life. I know how the system works. And what can't guarantee anything at all, but I can say that what I'm going to be doing, and we've already begun, is making it clear to the leadership in the House and the Senate, as well as the group of 16, bipartisan group, as well as Republican individuals who have an interest in the issues that are in my package, and saying, here's what I'm doing, here's why I want to do it, here's why I think we need to do it, and what kind of support can or can't you give to that. And then we go on to the way in which we deal with legislation all the time. You know, we didn't have any votes for the recovery package when Barack and I came into office. We were short 3 votes. We didn't know we had the votes until the day of bringing it up. And but
did he forget the word vote?
It's interesting, and I know
he forgot the word vote till the day of
the thing that got me here. You know, where the people, they do the thing and the ticket, the punch card.
Is there a direct correlation between like how hard the questions are, how scrunched his face becomes, how hard he has to think, and then a blood vessel in his eye exploding? Like if he thinks too hard, his eye turns into fucking Red Sea. It's disgusting. This is the gerontocracy we live in, folks. It's great. It's great stuff.
You ask a lot of these questions, you know the answers, but you have to help educate the public as well. I'm not suggesting you don't know what I'm
the
about to
pinstripe
say.
suit. He looks like fucking he's
No
New York
one wants
Yankee.
to give up on their position until there's no other alternative. They have to make a decision that they don't support what is being proposed, or they insist on what they have, or they let it all go away, fall down. I think we're far from that point right now. The decision to use reconciliation will depend upon how these negotiations go. And let me make clear about negotiations. I've always believed part of negotiation on the part of a president and or a chairman of a committee trying to get a major piece of
Early onset
passed
dementia. Early.
is
He's
about
100.
Consultation.
What do you
It's
mean
not
early,
enough for
Johnny
me just to
Prophet?
come up to you and say, I like this, I expect you to support it. I want to explain to you why I think it's so important in this package that we have to provide for money for additional vaccines. Why I think it's so important, why we provide for money to extend unemployment benefits. Why I think it's so important that we provide money to provide for the ability of people not to be thrown out of their apartments during this pandemic because they can't afford their rent. And to make the case to you why I think and what I think the priorities within this piece, we think the priorities are, I apologize, were within this legislation. And I don't expect we'll know.
Is he apologizing to his aides because he's late?
The entire package will be able to pass or not pass.
What's that?
He needs to say I. He needs to say this is what the fuck I am doing. He's like I got it. You know, like hey, like just yeah, it's fucking stupid.
This is going to be a thing. I think actually this is a remnant from Trump's administration, where like. I think what's going to be now is that the government used to talk about doing things themselves, what we're doing, what I'm going to do, what we are specifically, but now they use like a royal we. They refer to the government, they refer to like the levers of power as abstract things they don't have control over. Like what we should do, not what they literally can. Like this is the most powerful man in the world now. He is the most powerful man in the world. There's a lot of things he can do to mitigate the circumstances that we're in.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. You know, this was something that they got to him and they said, hey, we got to talk about us and we and this and whatever. And like, yeah, good. That's like, you know, like, because that's just true, right? But if you say, hey, this is my fucking plan, this is what I am doing, you know, and like this is where Joe Biden just sucks. Excuse me. Sorry about that. You know, it's kind of like the same thing in debate where it's just like he would moderate himself, right? He says he sees the red light go off. No one in the audience sees the red light. Only Joe Biden and the moderators see the red light. Moderators don't say shit. He's just in the middle of say, "Oh, time's up."
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, the light that he sees is the light at the end of the tunnel. He's.
I was gonna say the light that he sees is the blood vessel that just bursted in his eye.
I thought it was the light to the great beyond. He's like, "Oh, come on, man! I just got presidentialed.
Why not both?
I just got presidentialed after that dude Trunt, and now you're gonna try and take me? Come on, man!"
There were some funny jokes about like, oh hey, you know, like he does the. He did the inauguration. And it's like, oh, now they're going to Arlington, Arlington Park, and I'm like, damn, that was quick.
Yeah, he swears in and checks out. Just hops directly into a grave that they've already dug for him. And they're like, all right, America is back. President Joseph G. Biden Jr.
Yep.
All right, let's continue.
Until we get right down to the very end of this process, which will be probably in a couple weeks. But the point is, this is just the process beginning.
Annie from Washington Post. Oh, thank you, Mr. President. Annie Linsky with the Washington Post.
Annie.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about one of the sort of major themes of your campaign and how you sort of intend to measure and enact it, and that is the idea of unity. If you could talk a little bit about what you see unity as being. There are some people who are defining it as being bipartisan. Others are saying it is what most of the people in the country, defined by some poll, might believe. Or any sort of number of, or perhaps it's 50 plus 1, or 50 plus 2, or 75%. So given that it is such a key part of your message and your promise, can you talk and reflect a little bit more about what is unity when you see it and as you define it?
Well, I think it makes up several of the issues, the points you made. One is unity requires you to take away, eliminate the vitriol. Make anything that you disagree with about the other person's personality or their lack of integrity or they're not decent legislators and the like. So we have to get rid of that. And I think that's already beginning to change, but God knows where things go.
Oh, yeah. Everyone knows. When people still
unity
are
also
not
is
decent legislators, that's it.
Yeah, how dare you? It's the worst thing ever. Oh yeah, we got a new emote, you guys. New tier 1 emote. Our last slot taken up. I actually had to delete an old one to make room for that one. But the Erica Gordita tat. If you don't know the story behind it, Erica did a tweet about it the other day. But Erica, the white trash socialist, got so drunk one night that Taco Bell Gordita Crunch Wrap was the best thing she'd ever tasted in her life, and had to give herself a tattoo that was paying reference to or paying homage to the greatness of the Gordita Crunch. So that, well, it does look like a mangled penis head. Then it is actually just a G and a C combined. I deleted the OG Rosa Lux, but we have based Rosa Lux. And the reason I deleted the OG Rosa Lux is because all Rosa Luxes are by definition based. So all we need is Laser Rosa. Okay? All right, let's continue.
Reflect what the majority of the American people, Democrat, Republican, Independent, think is within the fulcrum of what needs to be done to make their lives and the lives of Americans better. For example, if you look at the data, and I'm not claiming the polling data to be exact, but if you look at the data, you have, I think it's...
I'm not claiming Napoleon data.
Correct me if I get the number wrong.
Exactly.
I think it's 58% of the American people, including Republicans, Democrats, and Independents, think that we have to do something about the COVID vaccine. We have to do something about making sure that people who are hurting badly, can't eat, don't have
What is he
food,
saying?
are in a position where they're about to be thrown
What
out
is
of
he saying?
apartments, et cetera,
60% of people say that every time that you need to do bad on COVID, Jack. What is he saying? He's saying a majority of Americans think we need to do things about COVID.
Well,
what do you? Yeah.
Passed, it doesn't mean
what are you talking about, dude?
It wasn't bipartisan. I prefer these things to be bipartisan because I'm trying to generate some consensus and take sort of the how can I say it?
You literally don't need it right now. You won, dude.
I'm confident.
You won.
I'm confident from my discussions. There are a number of Republicans who know
you got the Senate, bro.
Something about food insecurity for people in this pandemic. I'm confident they know we have to do something about figuring out how to get children back in school.
No,
there's,
you say
there's easy ways
Republicans
to
don't
deal
give
with
a
this. One,
shit
if you're
about
anti-union,
food.
you can say it's all because of teachers.
Don't give a shit.
If you
So
want
this is
to
why
make
we
a
have to
case,
do
though,
it.
that it's complicated, you say, well, what do you have to do to make it safe
Yes.
to get in those schools? Now, we're going to have arguments. For example, I propose that because it was bipartisan, I thought it would increase the prospects of passage, the additional $1,400 in direct cash payment to folks. Well, there's legitimate reason for people to say, do you have the lines drawn the exact right way? Should it go to anybody making over X number of dollars or why? I'm open to negotiate those things. That's all. I picked it because I thought it was rational.
Yes, his plan as president is to hope the Republicans see the light. Yes.
Overwhelming bipartisan support in the House.
That has been his entire political project.
A bit of a moving target.
Other than creating a safe haven for credit card companies in Delaware. That's his whole political project.
That's very important as well.
The other piece of this is that...
And Obama's too.
The one thing that gives me hope that we're not only going to sort of stay away from the ad hominem attacks on one another is that there is an overwhelming consensus among the major economists...
An ad hominem attack.
That the way to avoid a deeper recession moving in the direction of losing our competitive capacity is to spend money now. From across the board, every major institution has said, if we don't invest now, we're going to lose.
God of mine says, Dick, you forgot about the safe haven for his kids from racial jungles, plus destroying Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Yeah, but I'd say that's part of the similar thing. Being a racist is a way for him to reach out to Republicans. Also, preemptively attempting to cut Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid is him reaching out to Republicans, showing that he's a reasonable fiscal conservative.
Maybe on both sides, but I think there is a growing consensus. Whether we get it all done exactly the way I want it.
Not a single mention of the 2K. No,
I'm
chat.
confident that we can work our way through. We have to work our way through because, as I've said 100 times, there is no ability in a democracy for it to function without the ability to reach consensus. Otherwise, it just becomes executive fiat or battleground issues that are get us virtually nowhere.
That's not what that
I don't
is.
want to hold.
You won the majority.
My colleague
You guys
may
have
know,
the
Vice
majority in
President, but,
government.
You know, I think there were very few debates on the Senate floor the whole last year on almost any issue.
Who is he looking at back there?
That's no one. Doesn't inform anybody. Doesn't allow the public to make judgments about whose they think is right or wrong. So I am optimistic that it may take some time, but over the year, the way if we treat each other with respect, and we're going to argue like hell. I'm confident of that. Believe me, I know that. I've been there. But I think we can
Is
do it.
2K enough to take him to small claims court? Yes, we should. Everyone go to your small claims court. Try to sue the president of the United States for 2K. Let's go.
Yes, I don't trust you with a mic, huh? I don't know, man.
That's fine. I wouldn't either. Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate you taking the question. You mentioned just now that you might know in a couple of weeks. And I asked whether it's more important for you to get something passed in a short time frame like that, or would you be willing to wait longer to get more bipartisan support? And might I also ask that one of the pillars is the vaccine funding. When do you think any American who wants to get the shot will be able to get the shot?
Well, I'll try to answer the three parts of your question as I heard them. One, time is of the essence. Time is of the essence. And I must tell you, I'm reluctant to cherry pick and take out one or two items here and then have to go through it again, because these all are kind of, they go sort of hand in glove, each of these issues, number one. Number two, we are optimistic that we will have enough vaccine, and in very short order. We as you know, we came in office without knowledge of how much vaccine was being held in abeyance or available. Now that we're here, we've been around a week or so, we now have that. And we've gotten commitments from some of the producers that they will, in fact, produce more vaccine in a relatively short period of time and then continue that down the road. So I'm quite confident that we will be in a position within the next 3 weeks or so to be vaccinating people at the range of 1 million a day or in excess of that. That is I promised that we would get at least 100 million vaccinations. That's not people, because sometimes you need more than one shot, the vaccination, but 100 million shots in people's arms of the vaccine. I think with the grace of God and the goodwill of the neighbor and the creek not rising, as the old saying goes, I think we may be able to get that to 150.
What the fuck did he just say?
1.5 million a day rather than 1 million a day. But we have to meet that goal of 1 million a day. And
I want 1 million Americans a day to die from COVID. That's what I want.
Enough vaccine.
That should really take care of our budgetary
enough
constraints.
Syringes and all the paraphernalia needed to store, keep, inject, move into your arm the vaccine.
Paraphernalia.
Vaccinators, people administering the vaccine.
Vaccinator.
Not an easy task of those who have those facilities like the nursing homes and hospitals. They have the people to do it, but they don't have the capacity.
Yeah, 1 million a day would still take a year to fully vaccinate the country. Yes, that's correct.
We're leaning hard on into areas.
Good point, you
more
man.
Vaccinators.
Come on.
I feel confident we can do that. And thirdly, it's really important that we have the fora, the place, the facility, the circumstance where people can show up, stand in line, and get their vaccine without having to stand in line for 8 hours. Being able to pick up the phone.
How about we don't have lines of people in the middle of the fucking pandemic, too?
Are really, they sound simple, but they're all consequential when we're trying to get out a minimum of 100 million vaccinations in 100 days.
You can just schedule it.
In
fact, let me. I want to bring up. This is a slightly related point, but I attended an online conference earlier this year for some shit for school, and there was a guy from the local DMV, in I think it was Massachusetts, who was, or the statewide DMV for Massachusetts, who was presenting on like the innovations, that they had, the DMV had to do under the pandemic. And you know how like the DMV is the thing that you're supposed to go to and just sit all day at and hope that they call your name before they close to get something done. And it's literally like the most hack joke about the worst like errand you have to run as an American, right? And it's like a stand-in for bureaucracy, right? You know what they figured out? That like during the pandemic, what they had to do was just schedule appointments for people ahead of time to get them to come in and go ahead. And what happened was they upped the fucking rate of service by like 3 or 4 times, meaning you had to wait like 300% less time for service. Like their efficiency was better when there weren't a waiting room full of people who were pissed off. Go figure.
Oh, weird.
Oh, he explains later about using your phone to schedule an appointment. I jumped the gun with my PTSD. You're 100% right. Damn, got my number. He was dead. All right. Well, if Joe's going to say that, I'll give him credit for it. All right.
We are well beyond that in the next 100 days, so we can get to the point where we reach herd immunity in a country of over 300 million people. Does that answer your question?
Well, my question was at what date or roughly when do you think anyone wants one would be able to get it? Is it summer? Is it?
Oh, I know. I think it'll be this spring. I think we'll be able to do that this spring, and but it's going to be a logistical challenge that exceeds anything we've ever tried in this country. But I think we can do that. I feel confident that by summer we're.
The mask is a totem. He has it in his hand to demonstrate that he would be wearing it if he wasn't talking. He wants people to remember to wear their mask. He wants to chastise them for not doing it. That's what our
children and how we deal with that. But
this is how we've come to think about government and how he thinks about the role of government is basically to enforce market norms, right? Like the idea behind our government now is that it's hands-off, laissez-faire. All you're there is to make sure that the contracts that go through between the multinational corporations. Anything else you do is a problem. You're creating inefficiencies in the free market. This is a similar thing. Yeah, anything else is communism, exactly. But him having the mask is a way for him to say, this is how I interfere with the social norms that are unacceptable to me. I am trying to set a standard. If I hold the mask, I wear the mask, everyone will wear the mask because I say so, and I'll chastise you, and my lib supporters will do so too if you don't wear it. And that's how we'll solve COVID, or at least make people feel bad or give someone to blame about the COVID. It's a divide and conquer strategy. We should be mad at him. I know it's easy to get mad at chuds who fucking sucking and fucking each other out in like the grocery store, like aisles, you know, and just like blowing loads of COVID all over the place. Yes, it sucks. They suck. They're terrible people.
COVID loads all over.
but
loads.
We should be getting mad at them. We should be getting mad at him and the government, not each other. Those people, this is exactly what was always going to happen. If you just make a social norm about and you divide 2 lines of you're a pussy if you wear a mask, and you're or pussy sheeple if you wear a mask, or you're a cool tough guy idiot on the other side. If you create this dichotomy and make it a political dichotomy, this is what's going to happen. Of course, if you don't create a structure that encourages people just to sit their ass at home, then this is what you get. You get us arguing about whether or not, what kind of mask is best, how you should wear it, make sure it's over your nose, that kind of shit.
I feel good about where we're going, and I think we can get it done.
Thank you, guys. One more on vaccines. Mr. President, one more on vaccines.
Now, wait. I know he always asks me tough questions, and he always has an edge to them, but I like him anyway, so go ahead and ask the question.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Oh.
So you just said that you think within 3 weeks or so we'll be at the point where there are 1 million vaccines per day, but it seems like...
No, I think we'll get there before that. I said I misspoke. I hope we'll be able to increase as we go on till we get to the 1.5 million a day. That's my hope.
And then the follow-up to that would be, now that you're president and you're saying there's nothing we can do to change the trajectory of the pandemic in the next several months, what happened to 2 months ago when you were talking declaratively about I am going to shut down the virus.
Well, I'm going to shut down the virus, but I never said I'd do it in 2 months. I said it took a long time to get here. It's going to take a long time to beat it. And so we have millions of people out there who have the virus. We're just, for the first day, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I've been doing other things.
Joe, he is literally leading you to the correct answer. You said, remember when you said shut down the virus? Remember? So you're shutting it down. Maybe you want to do something like shut it down.
Well, this is the Fox News guy, right? This is Ducey from Fox News.
Oh, is it?
So he usually, he's trying to get like this. Honestly, Joe Biden said, "Yeah, we're gonna shut the shit down." Would be the greatest thing for Ducey because then they would get to fearmonger.
Oh, so that's what. So Ducey is trying to lead him into a bait question.
Yes.
That he can try and say, "How dare you?"
This guy, he asks tough questions, but I like him anyway. You know.
I thought he was unironically. Steve Ducey is trying to lead him to the correct answer.
No, it's just honestly, it's just layers of irony in this situation. I'm not sure how to describe it.
Yeah, he's baiting him to say he's going to shut it down so he can cancel him for saying it on Fox News. But that is what he should do.
Yes.
Fuck.
Yes.
Oh, so dumb. So fucking dumb. We live in the dumbest country.
This morning he's speaking with foreign leaders, but one of the things I think this is one of the first days that the numbers actually come down, the number of deaths and the number on a daily basis and the number of hospitalizations, et cetera. It's going to take time. It's going to take a heck of a lot of time. And we still have, as Dr. Fauci constantly points out,
Yeah, more like Steve
one thing
Douchey
have
owned.
mass, how can I say it politely, mass disregard of the warnings about not wearing masks.
Bonafide combined two emotes to make Marcus Erica noises.
Failure to social distance and people getting together on holidays in ways that weren't recommended.
Okay, so we've seen the rest of this. He put the mask on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess I missed the part where he talked about the scheduling appointments on phones. Whoever was chastising me about that, you son of a bitch.
Whoever the liar is.
Yeah, let me find that Rutger Bregman video at Davos because I've done nothing but think about that ever since we started talking about it. And I do kind of have a disagreement here with Rutger Bregman now because there is.
This is my first time at.
There's an alternative here, like an alternative way of looking at this that I'd love to pick your brain about too, Marcus. This might not be like your area of expertise necessarily, but I've been thinking about it quite a bit. So I'll tease that out in a minute. Let's watch the video first.
Davos, and I find it quite a bewildering experience, to be honest. I mean, 1,500 private jets have flown in here to hear Sir David Attenborough speak about, how we're wrecking the planet. And I mean, I hear people talk in the language of participation and justice and equality and transparency. But then, I mean, almost no one raises the real issue of tax avoidance, right? And of the rich just not paying their fair share. I mean, it feels like I'm at a firefighters conference and no one's allowed to speak about water. I mean, this is not rocket science. I mean, we can talk for a very long time about all these stupid philanthropy schemes. We can invite Bono once more, but come on, we got to be talking about taxes. That's it, taxes, taxes, taxes. All the rest is bullshit, in my opinion.
I actually came because I do believe we have an issue here. But I have to say, honestly, this is a very one-sided panel. Frankly, what people really want is a dignity of a job. I'd like for the panel to talk about beyond taxes, which every one of you have talked about. The only thing you've talked about in this whole panel on inequality, what can we really
Fuck
do
off, you fucking piece of dog shit.
Let me tell you something. We're talking about jobs, but the quality
She's
of
based
those
too.
jobs with poultry workers in the richest country in the world, the United States. Dolores, one woman
Winnie Banyima
there, told us that she and her
Oxfam.
co-workers have to wear diapers to work because they are not allowed toilet breaks. This is in the richest country in the world. So don't tell me about low levels of unemployment.
Let's talk about
You're
poultry
counting the
workers
wrong
and how many
things. You're not counting
people with
dignity
meat
of
packing
people.
plants have died
You're
because of
counting
COVID and then
exploited
not having
people.
proper safety measures.
Yeah.
And like that's things like that all happened before COVID, but like the point even stands more so. Like, and this fucking asshole. Everyone just talked about taxes. Well, yeah, motherfucker.
Imagine the motherfucker said,
Reason why.
all people want is the dignity of a job. The dignity of a job would include a fair wage. What does it matter if I feel dignified of my job if I can't fucking feed myself, you dumb fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
Suck my fucking cock and balls, Ken Goldman.
There's no dignity. There's no dignity in having to work multiple jobs just in order to barely survive. There's just never going to be dignity in that.
Exactly. Couldn't agree with you more, friend. We need now when Rutger Bregman, some context here. When Rutger Bregman did that at Davos, that's only a clip of it, right? He went further into detail. He kept pointing, like the moderator even tried to like steer it to like, what are other things we can do? And he's like, there's no other things, you dumb fucks. You're hiding all the money. You have all you pieces of shit have all the money that needs to be spread around. Like he's a Dutch historian, an author, and like basically what he's come to the conclusion is like the redistribution of wealth was a way that his country became more equitable, and that's what the rest of the world should do. He wrote a very good book too called Utopia for Realists. I read half of it, I think, like I do most books, but it's very good. But it's making the case for UBI, basically a universal basic income, which would be which would necessitate a UBI, depending on who you talk to. A UBI would necessitate a massive tax increase on the wealthy, which it should. Not even massive, a decent sized tax increase. But anyways, when he owned the libs at Davos, guess who jumped in the fold and wanted to have him on his show? Tucker Carlson. So here's the thing. Rutger Bregman agreed to go on his show. And then owned him hard on his own show. And they were filming the interview, so he didn't air it. But Rutger Bregman got a hold of the footage and put that shit on the interwebs. So now we're gonna watch it. It's like a grainy cell phone video of the feed directly from a camera, like, you know, like, so he's recording the video from like the camera lens like monitor. So now we're going to watch that real quick because I want you to watch. This is how you deal with a right-wing populist that is trying to liken himself. By being a populist, he's trying to liken himself to left-wing populism, like the idea that you can mesh these two things easy together. Tucker Carlson likes to step over that line back and forth and then pretend that his populism, his hatred of the elites is the same problem. We're agreeing on problems. You know, so why can't we should talk about these things? But we don't agree on the solution. That's the bigger problem.
And then there's quite a lot of people that fall into that exact conundrum.
Let's do this.
Oh, I'm against the globalist elite. Blah blah blah. It's not very convincing, to be honest.
Why don't you go yourself, brain, and I hope this gets picked up because you're a moron. I tried to give you a hearing, but you were too annoying for me.
You can't handle the criticism, can you?
Tucker. Oh yeah? Why don't you go fuck yourself? The Swanson dinner prince has fucking logged on. Look out.
We gotta be talking about taxes. That's it. Taxes. All the rest is bullshit, in my opinion.
I mean, it feels like I'm at a firefighter's conference and no one's allowed to speak about water. That's one of the great moments, maybe the great moment in Davos history.
See?
Rutger Bregman is the author of Utopia.
See, he's trying to. Oh man, you own those libs, dude. You own those Davos elites, those pricks. We're one and the same, man. Come on, like let's establish a little bit of rapport here before we get in the nitty gritty.
I love how his face though. He's just like, I am about to just whoop that ass. Like you could see it.
It's
you
like
know?
the cracking the knuckles at the keyboard meme. Like he's about to just on. You're about to get owned, Swanson Dinner Prince.
This is the moment right before, this is about 2 to 3 minutes before the dad walks in and asks if you're winning, son.
Yeah,
right?
Yes. Are we gonna make the meme? God, we're literally a year. This was last year at this time. So like, we'll be making a meme about a video from a year ago of Rutger Bregman going, "Oh, I'm winning, Dad," owning Tucker Carlson.
It's so good though. It's so good.
Now, Mr. Bregman, I can't stop laughing just listening to that. And part of it makes me wonder, are you the first person ever to note that people are flying private to talk about global warming and that none of them mention tax avoidance? Has anyone ever said that before at Davos that you know of?
Oh, I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on Davos history, but it is a bit hypocritical, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And others have noted that. We've noted it on this show. We've just never gone to Davos and said it out loud as you did. So if I was wearing a hat, I would take it off to you. What response did you get?
Well, I mean, they were not very happy with me, but I'm just I think a random Dutch historian who's basically saying what everyone around the globe is thinking. The vast majority of Americans, for years and years now, according to the polls, including Fox News viewers and including Republicans, are in favor of higher taxes on the rich. Higher inheritance taxes, higher top marginal tax rates, higher wealth taxes. It's all.
So as I recall, as a precursor, what he's going to do now, because obviously the Swanson Dinner Prince, Tucker Carlson, populism is about hating the elites, right? But it's not about higher taxes, because Tucker Carlson's whole political project, aside from being a fucking Nazi, is to make you think that he hates the elites as much as you do, and taxes on him are taxes on everyone. Taxes on the rich are taxes on everyone. It's like if you were to tax Amazon, Jeff Bezos, or him and Swanson fucking frozen dinners, then it's also going to fall upon the backs of the working man, which he pretends to be in favor of. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but that is his political project, aside from being a fucking horrifying bigot.
And just making a fuck ton of money. Like the dude just rakes it in.
Literally one of the most watched shows on television, his program. No. Not just like news programs.
Like Phoenix rising from the ashes.
Not just news programs.
He's not considered news. He's under entertainment. He's an opinion guy.
Yeah, I mean like the what do you call it? Pundit programs, even like on a news channel. So like he's literally like one of the more eyeballs watch his show every night than almost any other program on television.
Really mainstream, but no one's saying that at Davos, just as no one's saying it on Fox News, right? And I think the explanation for that is quite simple. Is that most of the people in Davos, but also here on this channel,
I am a phoenix rising from the ashes.
You're not meant to say these things. So I just went there and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to say it, just as I'm saying it right here on this show.
Called him out.
Well, what was interesting, I thought, about what you said was that you noted something. I mean, many people have called for higher taxes, but very few.
Well, not on this channel, is it? I mean, almost all of the pundits on this channel for years have been against higher taxes, right? Even though the vast majority of Americans is in favor of it.
I mean, I don't know. It would be interesting to know how many hours of Fox you've watched.
I mean, I don't know. And now he's trying to change the subject because Rutger Bregman is now letting Tucker Carlson know you have made a mistake. You've made a huge mistake by allowing me to come on your program.
Which it's like obvious, right? Hey, this dude was willing to go to this place and talk to the richest people in the world and tell them that they fucking suck to their face. Yeah, let's have him on my show because he can't do that to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like the just
Yes.
the
Yeah,
lack
and
of
now he is gonna talk about tax avoidance, because so what Tucker is trying to do is here he doesn't really get this point out because Rutger owns him rightfully. But what Tucker likes to do is point out that like the rich libs do tax avoidance too, because they don't want to pay their fair share either. Look at these hypocrites. They want to tax you more. That's what they want to do, but they don't want to pay taxes themselves. Basically trying to like draw the parallel that no one wants to pay more money to the government. Everyone's going to try and avoid these taxes. So like, and the rich libs should just be fucking honest about that. I didn't see your word, you Zippy. What was it?
cerulean.
Cerulean?
Yeah.
I have no idea what that word even is.
It's a color?
Oh, yes. Okay. Oh, yeah, I know that one. Cerulean. Owned. Goodbye.
But I said about tax avoidance. So
Yeah.
I mean, just because someone faces a specific tax rate does not mean that person pays that tax rate at all. I don't think Netflix, for example, paid any taxes last year at all. So what would you do specifically to make certain that this class of people pays what they're supposed to pay?
Well, it's about multiple things. So we should really crack down on tax paradises and on tax avoidance. That's a major issue. But it's also about having higher taxes. So in the 1950s, for example, in the 1960s, in the golden age of capitalism, as historians called it, we had top marginal tax rate for the very rich of about, 70, 80, 90%. Actually under Eisenhower, the Republican president. And this was also, one of the best periods in American history. Same is true.
Real quick too. This is always you cannot stress this point enough. When we talk about 90% tax rate, that is a marginal tax rate. That means a marginal tax rate is not that you lose 90% of your income. It is every dollar that is made over a certain threshold, 90% would be taken out. So basically, like if you make more than $1 million, and then it's a marginal tax rate of 90% over $1 million, 90 cents of every dollar over $1 million you make would be 90 cents would be taken out. Okay, so it's not as though you make if I make $1 million, they're going to take 900,000. Why would I bother making $1 million? No. You get the $1 million. It's every dollar you make over that amount. And when people talk about taxes and how they fuck you and how it de-incentivizes you to make more money, they leave out that context intentionally because they don't want you to know that like you can still be very, very rich.
Yeah. That little like, oh hey, yeah, they just tax so much of my money that I'm rich, doesn't stop rich people from getting rich, right?
No.
It's just an argument for you to not tax rich people.
Yes.
True for the UK and the rest of Europe. So as a historian, for me, it's all not, it's really not rocket science. We should go back to simple and straightforward solutions from the past.
Right, but this country was sustained, and since you're a historian, I guess you would know this, sustained by an industrial economy at the time that was broad and deep, that created a middle class. That doesn't exist anymore. So it's an entirely different economy. I wish it did exist.
Oh wow, but that's not really an issue. I mean,
work the same way with an entirely different economy?
Thank you.
Well, I think it would. I mean, America is still pretty much the most powerful country in the world, right? So if it really would want to, it could easily crack down on tax paradises. But the thing is, I mean, you guys have brought into power a president that doesn't even want to show its own tax returns. I mean, who knows how many billions he has hidden in the Cayman Islands or in Bermuda. So I think the issue really is one of corruption and of people being bribed and of not being, not talking about the real issues. What the family, what the Murdochs basically want you to do is to scapegoat immigrants instead of talking about tax avoidance. So I'm glad you're now finally raising the issue, but that's what's been happening for the past couple of years.
And I'm taking orders from the Murdochs. Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean it doesn't work that directly. But I mean, you've been part of the Cato Institute, right? You've been a senior fellow there for years. You've been taking their dirty money. They're funded by cock billionaires, you know.
Wait, why don't you tell me how it does work?
Well, it works by you taking their dirty money. It's as easy as that. I mean, you are a millionaire funded by billionaires. That's what you are. And I'm glad you now finally jumped the bandwagon, you know, of people like Bernie Sanders and AOC. But you're not part of the solution, Mr. Carlson.
I absolutely love that he is like, you know what he's doing, Marcus? He is doing exactly what we do to chuds in our chat. He's like, welcome, comrade. You have been gifted a sub. By inviting me on your program, Tucker Carlson, you're now a comrade because you now must want higher taxes. Because that's what I'm here to talk about. Thanks for being with the program. And he's like, duh.
Well, and also the thing is too is that like that's the thing is like Tucker's an idiot, right? But like I was saying before, it's like, oh hey, this guy owned these people, and I just want to talk about him owning these people. It had nothing to do with taxes or them being hypocrites, because Tucker is the same, and he defends them the same way that all the rest of the pundits do, and that's where he's getting pissed off, that he's getting called out.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so like that's where this is just fucking great, is because like there's just no way for Tucker to be upset about what's being said without exposing himself as the person who he is, which is a little piss baby, heir of fucking goddamn
the Swanson Dinner Prince.
Swanson, yeah, frozen dinners.
Wait. I spoke of chuds in the chat, and one hath appeared. I hath conjured him. Bonebreaker. I am an entrepreneur who works harder than 99% of the population.
Not true.
Can somebody gift him a sub, please? We're gonna welcome this
hold
motherfucking
on.
comrade.
If you work 99% harder than the rest of the population, you should be 99% wealthier than the rest of the population. Are you? Bonebreaker?
Yeah, I have $12, Bonebreaker. Do you have 99 times 12 more dollars than me?
Yeah. Bonebreaker A. If you actually work harder than 99% of I would expect, right, in a merit-based society, that you would have 99% more wealth than other people. Is that true?
Oh shit! Wait, Marcus. Someone just brought this. Might be our boss. This might be Daddy Bezos in the chat. We won't be talking shit to our boss. Are you
I
you
would
Jeff
assume
Bezos?
If you must be. Well,
work ethic doesn't have anything to do with money. I agree.
Well, so you can't prove that. You can't prove it. I don't believe that you will work 99% harder because obviously we live in a merit-based society, and so if you did, you would have 99% more capital, right? Because you earned it.
You worked your ass off to get
You're
there.
just wasting your time if you're working 99% harder, but you're not 99% richer.
Thank you, Mona, for gifting a tier 1 sub to Bonebreaker. After this video, we'll do a proper induction ceremony. Okay.
Welcome, Bonebreaker. And I see, it's like this isn't an.
Oh, go ahead.
Analogy.
Sorry.
I don't know if he's talking to me when he says make analogies that make sense. Like it's not even an analogy. It's just.
No, it's not. Yeah.
It's just describing capitalism.
Yeah, it's not what an analogy is.
Oh, but yeah, let's go back to the video.
I know you're hoping and praying that maybe we'll have another war, but it ain't happening.
It's true, right? That all the anchors on Fox, they're all millionaires. How is this possible? Well, it's very easy. You're just not talking about certain things.
Fox doesn't even play where you are.
It doesn't play where you are. Well, have you heard of the internet? I can watch things whatever I want,
His response is, how do you even watch my show? I didn't think you're one of those Dutch, the freaky deaky Dutch. How do you watch my show even? I think you'd be prepared to own me this hard.
I can't say I'm a great fan of your show, but I do my homework when you invite me on your show. So, I mean, you're probably not going to air this, but I went to Davos to speak truth to power, and I'm doing exactly the same thing right now. You might not like it, but you're a millionaire funded by billionaires, and that's the reason why you're not talking about these issues.
But I am talking about these issues.
Yeah, only now. Come on, you jumped the bandwagon. You're all like, oh, I'm against the globalist elite, blah, blah, blah. It's not very convincing, to be honest.
Why don't you go yourself? And I hope this gets picked up because you're a moron.
Tiny
I tried
brain.
to give you a hearing, but you were too annoying.
Wait. Why does he say, "I hope this gets picked up"?
They get aired. Yeah, like no, like I hope they're saying it's like that. They actually decide to air the segment.
It's his show.
But he doesn't get control over it, which I mean, like.
I don't believe that for a
honestly,
second, dude. Come on.
No. Well, I think, Dick, that statement, right? I hope that gets picked up. Actually, is is Tucker actually admitting to what's being said here? That yeah, it's the billionaires that actually control what comes across, right? You know.
Oh yeah, I mean he's lost the argument, and then he says, and he knows he's not going to air it. So I think when he says,
Think he's just saying like, oh yeah, he's just saying I have control. Just saying I hope it just is a flex.
Yeah, I hope it gets picked up. Meaning, I think he says he's pretending, he's thinking in his mind, fuck, he's gonna get this fucking footage out. I'm not gonna air it. It's still gonna go out. And he's like, well, I don't care. I hope it does. That's what he's saying. And so just so this video could actually be made.
You can't handle the
I think there's
criticism,
still people who could pull his leash.
Who could what?
I think there's still people who could pull Tucker's leash.
Yeah. But like, in terms of like as simple as airing this kind of segment, I mean, you just cut the part out where he says "go fuck yourself," but it is pretty obvious that like in the middle of an interview, if you're a show host and you tell someone to go fuck themselves, it's a pretty good indication you're not going to actually use the footage. You know?
Yeah.
There's a war on alternative media. There's a
his fucking face. Look at this face he makes.
Political expression.
What is going on here? This is his whole shtick. This face is what Tucker Carlson is. Excuse me. He sits there and allows someone psycho like Roger Stone to come on his show, and he looks like I'm a newborn baby who has never. No, my brain is completely smooth. It needs to be wrinkled. Could you please wrinkle it, sir? And I'm thinking real hard about it. Oh shit! Is Bone Breaker Tucker Carlson? Oh my god.
Maybe.
Fuck. All right, you guys. We need to do a proper induction ceremony. For Bone Breaker. So let me get that pulled up right quick.
Well, Bone Breaker said the only people who are socialists are poor people who work low wage jobs.
I mean, that's not necessarily true, but that would make sense.
Yeah, it'd make a lot more sense.
I mean, unfortunately, that's not true because there are a ton of people. There's millions and millions of people who make shit money. If they were all socialists, we would have fucking socialism, you dumb prick.
Which, and as I see is like, you know, and now that Bone Breaker's a comrade, I'm sure that they are cured of such a just disgusting belief of just working people, and honestly, fuck working people in general, right? But now that you're a comrade, you know.
Are you ready for this, Marcus?
Yes.
We're going to properly introduce Bone Breaker into the comradeship, into the Jeep State.
Yeah. Do each other need, man.
It's a full minute. That's enough for a proper induction.
Yeah, and like I do want to address it. Like somebody say he's like, oh, don't get me wrong, we need these people.
The salt of the earth, the people you can trod upon, they are needed.
But and like no, because like and like that's the thing too. It's like it's not even about the job that you do. Okay, bone breaker, you don't need to actually do a job for your for your life to have value, right? You don't need to you're like whether you're in an engineering thing and you're creating something to advance technology, or like you say you work a low wage retail job, right? Where you help people get clothed. Either one is not required for someone to have value or for someone to be treated with respect and have everything that they need to survive. Because what is actually true, right, is that if we all just understand that and work together, it actually is it's a lot easier, right? You ever heard the saying, many hands make light work, right? It's not a whole lot of this isn't too difficult a concept, but yeah, I'd be actually pissed though if I were you, because if I actually believe that I worked harder than 99% of anybody else, I would expect to be compensated 99% better.
You know what? You know what I'll say? Bone breaker. If you worked harder than 99% of the population, you know where the 1% of hardest workers aren't? On fucking Twitch.com. Watching us fucking stream Joe Biden. Like, oh, look, Joe Biden did a doo-doo out of his sharded ass. Are you working real hard right now, Bone Breaker? Is this the 1% of the time off you give yourself?
Oh shit.
Also,
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to, fucking disrespect us.
This isn't work. This isn't work. Anyone who's watching us right now ain't working. You're pretending, maybe. This isn't fucking work. This doesn't work for me.
It's terribly hard.
Yeah, I mean, it may be challenging technically a lot of times, and it does try my patience because I've got to fucking talk to these low IQ individuals like Bone Breaker. Might challenge my patience and destroy my hairline because you make me mauled so fucking hard. But yeah, it's not that hard of a job. And you must not be working very hard if you're sitting here watching us.
Bone Breaker is a entrepreneur.
What is your business, Bone Breaker? Tell us. And then I want. So he made a statement. I'm assuming it's a he. Only.
Don't do that. No, because women, non-binary folks, really,
yes,
like
anyone can be a chub.
Break bones. They can break bones.
Of course. No, Bone Breaker. Tell us what you do then. Tell us what your job is. We want to evaluate it because you talked about value. Like basically, like your pay should reflect your value you contribute to society. That's what you said. Yeah. Now, I
like that's the thing though. Is like it almost doesn't matter what you do, right? If you work harder than 99% of anyone else, then you should be compensated 99% better. Like, right? Mm-hmm. That is like literally like capitalism, right? That's the whole idea behind, at least what they tell you, by the pick you up by your bootstraps. That's actually not capitalism, right? I don't want to go into like the fucking.
Oh, he says
like, that's what they tell you, right?
Wait. He's saying, Marcus, we have to tell him our day jobs. Are you ready? You ready for this, Bone Breaker?
We go to school.
We are students. We don't have jobs. Or is it job? Is it soft J?
That's job. That's what we do. That's what we do for work.
Yeah, I'm learning about stuff, things.
That's what we do daily in order to receive compensation. right?
Oh wait,
That's their job.
actually, what we could say.
I provide the right type of information to the people who need it the most. I feel like you have a commercial where you're in a suit and you're walking down the hallway, like a dimly lit hallway. I provide the right kind of information to the people who need it the most. And then like you turn the corner, and you're doing another one. What else? Give us another line before when your commercial.
No, you need to tell us what that means. You need to tell us what that means. Are you trying to make it
So-
sound like you're like a fucking spook?
Oh yeah, he's a private investigator.
Yeah, what are you like? You're trying to like sound like you're an intelligence agent?
You're a private investigator. That'd be dope. That'd be cool.
Yeah, it's not a cool job. It's definitely not a cool job. He's like
no,
he like does business intelligence or some dumb shit like
honestly,
that.
though, because that's the thing is like, right, if you're on that merit-based thing where the harder you work, the more you make. If you worked harder than 99% of the intelligence people, right, providing information businesses, you would be rolling in it, right? You'd be making billions.
Yeah, I know. No, that would be fucking dope.
Yeah.
Um,
I guess break why the extra A? Was there already a bone breaker with one A?
I gotta imagine.
It's the aesthetics for me.
Couldn't get there quick enough. Didn't work hard enough.
Bone breaker, I largely agree with what
So
you're saying. It's
I
just
do
the
want to.
extra A that's annoying to me.
I want to tease out though, like the idea, like bone breaker does bring up a good point that we should address. I mean, it's not a good point. It's a point, often reference point by people who watch the fucking Daily Wire show or whatever it is, whatever dog shit it is you're getting your horrible talking points from. About how capitalism works well because it reflects the value that you put into society. They put a monetary value on your contribution to society as a whole. And that idea is one of the most horrifyingly pernicious things you will ever hear in your entire life. Just think about that for a second. Let's make a comparison. You have some complete dickhole like Bonebreaker who is like, I provide information to people who need it. I'm a digital entrepreneur who probably has rich parents who like like helped him start a business.
Before they say they worked, they get everything on their own.
Yes. They pull themselves up by their bootstraps. You got this kind of person. This person who like creates a new like flavored water that's 90% sugar, and then hires a marketing firm to pitch it to people and call it like, and then also somehow it's a tech startup so they get like Saudi oil money, angel investors to like, so I want you to tell me, like unironically, please, chat, not just you, I don't really want to talk to you, Bonebreaker, but like to chat and to you, Marcus. Please tell me with a straight face that the value contribution to society is greater by someone doing that type of shit than a teacher. Teachers make dog shit money. And they have massive classrooms. They have 40 to 50 little lives in their hands, minds to mold every day.
I mean, like there's no point really in answering it. I kind of go, like, because it's not, right? It's not. It's just not. Like, it's literally just not. And that like the thing that's like frustrating for me is that like people like, well, oh, hey, look at this person and that person, they do these great fucking things, and it's not about like this or that fucking people, right? It's not about like pointing to one specific person and saying that this person did these great things for society, because for every one of those people, there's been, I mean, countless people who've been whose lives have been cut short, been before their time. There's countless people who have never been able to live in a capacity that would even give them the opportunity to wonder what they could do. There's even more so that are just trying to get by the day to day, and then they get fed this bullshit of like, hey, if you just work harder, right? And that's the thing that's like fucking absolute bullshit, because you can say, oh, hey, look at how smart this person is, but if you don't for 1 second wonder about all the smart kids that have died, from malnutrition, from getting drone striked, from getting poisoned from lead in the water, if you don't think of all the geniuses lost, then fuck you. Then you're not actually you're not even considering reality. You're not considering reality.
All right. Let's. I want to switch gears here and mauled in a different direction real quick. Yeah. You're gonna love this. I'm trying to pull up the article. Okay. Here we go. Oh shit! I gotta reshare the screen. 1 second. God damn it! Fucked it up. Luckily, I'm figuring out how to use the studio mode, so I don't have to you don't have to watch me fumble as much. I'm doing it in the background. You just hear me clicking and hear me struggling rather than seeing it directly.
But I think Bone Breaker A doesn't seem that
left the building.
Have much more to say, which it's sad, right? It's sad that you don't have anything more to say.
What the fuck, dude?
But,
I thought we were friends. I thought you were a comrade.
That's the thing that's just like fucking. It's upsetting. It's horse shit. Okay, it's horse shit. Because don't shit on fucking human beings. Okay, there is a test. There is a litmus test, right? And there's a purity test. Okay, we have a purity test. It's basic human decency, and what you just put on the screen is not basically humanly decent.
Hillary and Chelsea Clinton developing female Kurdish militia drama for TV. The Daughters of Kobani, a story of rebellion, courage, and justice. Gail Zemak Lemon. All right, let me read a bit of this to the chat. The mother-daughter producing partners have via their hidden.
Please just wait, stop. Time out, okay?
I wanted to get some details before we.
You're pushing too much, though. All right, I'm not gonna say anything. I feel like you're just pushing too hard. You just need to take a few breaths and now go, okay? Because you're rushing, and it's a lot. It's a lot.
All right, Chad, have you taken? Marcus, when you feel prepared enough for me to continue, that's the barometer I will use for the chat being prepared to continue.
Continue.
Okay. Okay. The mother-daughter producing partners, via their Hidden Light production company, optioned Arthur Gail Zemak Lemon's The Daughter of Kobani, a story of rebellion, courage, and justice for the small screen. Hillary and Chelsea Clinton have their sights set on their first scripted TV series.
Is that going on the fucking, what's the little thing? What's the little bullshit Netflix, but 30 seconds?
Oh no, that's dead already, dude. Yeah, that was literally like a money laundering operation. Quibi, yes, Quibi. Quibi is already dead. I'm pretty sure. Can you confirm, Chad? Is Quibi dead? They went out of business a couple months ago, right? They were only around for 3 or 4 months. Yeah, Quibi doesn't exist anymore.
This is real.
There's no network attached to this yet, so we don't.
This is not the Onion thing.
No, this is the Hollywood Reporter.
And that's not an Onion thing. It's not an Onion adjacent type of thing, like the Duffel blog.
No, this is real. Unfortunately,
this is just news. Okay.
Yeah.
They don't have a joke section.
No. This is Hollywood Reporter does exactly shit like this. What's new coming down the pike in Hollywood land?
No.
Precious Bots did bring up a good point though. Trash Future did some great apps on the Fall of Quibi. In fact, like a lot of my information I get about like the most insane tech startups and why they are epic failures and why capitalism doesn't create the best products. It just creates assholes that create horrible businesses. I get from Trash Future. So shout out to them. Great pod. They stream too. They're on Twitch. So set to be published February 16th by Peg. It's not even published yet. It's based on hundreds of hours of interviews and on-the-ground reporting about the all-female Kurdish militia who took on ISIS in northern Syria and won.
I can't.
Following the unlikely showdown emerged a fighting force who spread their own political vision and established gender equality in their corner of the Middle East and beyond. In the process, they earned the respect and significant military support of U.S. Special Operations Forces.
Oh my God. See, like, I can't.
This is literally like a DOD CIA psyop. Like, this is an op. This is propaganda.
See, no, and it is. It is. I can't, dude. I can't. This is terrible.
Daughters of Kobani, I'm going to quote Hillary now. Daughters of Kobani is an extraordinary account of brave, defiant women fighting for justice and equality, said former Secretary of State Clinton. We created Hidden Light to celebrate heroes, sung and unsung alike, whose courage is too often overlooked. Could not be more thrilled to bring this inspiring story to viewers around the world. Lemon is also the author of 2 New York Times bestsellers, 2011's The Dressmaker of Harana and 2015's Ashley's War. The latter title, Ashley's War, isn't that the Universal Pictures and Reese Witherspoon's company as a feature film? That's the dog movie. That's the girl dog movie. The military dog pilled movie.
Oh, yeah.
Lemon, an author, journalist, and fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations. Just imagine right now, if I could, I'd press a button where a giant eye would float up on the screen. Because I said the words Council on Foreign Relations.
Yeah.
Has ties to HRC. In 2011, she penned the first Newsweek cover on then Secretary of State's efforts to put women at the center of foreign policy. So she literally used to write puff pieces on Hillary. Yeah, let's get some eyes going in the chat. You guys got eye emotes, drop them in the chat.
I don't. It's too much, man.
Oh, so here's another thing.
No.
So Hidden Light has already pushed some shit out, or squeezed some shit out of their rectum, I should say. The company's first project is an event docuseries based on their 2019 bestseller, The Book of Gutsy Women, Favorite Stories of Courage and Resilience. It landed at Apple with a straight-to-series order following a bidding war. Oh, okay. So Apple won that one, guys. If you got Apple TV, you can watch The Book of Gutsy Women.
Why did you do that?
Blame Lorax. He dropped it in the signal, the stream topics chat. Yeah, a dox-you series. Exactly. Yeah, Lorax, he's trying to hurt us with this one. For sure. For anyone who's asking where Erica is, unfortunately, Erica has a real job now too. So she is working much like Lorax is right now. No, there's no escape from this lib bullshit. There will never be an escape. Listen to the podcast yet? What podcast? Our own podcast.
The
Oh yeah, Debt Collective. They were on Sam Cedar today, right? Yeah, Erica do be on that rise and grind. No, she has a real union job.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a pod by Danger Jeff? I mean, a pod by Robert Evans, Danger Jeff? Is that what you're talking about? You
I
should
think I've
definitely listen
heard
to
of
our
it.
pods, though. Subscribe to the Patreon, y'all. I don't have a job. Let's talk about Debt Collective real quick. You familiar with them, Marcus?
I feel like, yeah, but I'm not 100% sure. It sounds familiar, but I'm not. What are they talking about? Is that what it is? The Debt Collective?
Debtors Union. Debtors Union fighting to cancel debts and defend millions of households. Join us to build a world where college is publicly funded, healthcare is universal, and housing is guaranteed for all. 1 million new people default on their student loans every year. No one should be forced into debt for an education. Join us in the fight to cancel student debt and win college for all. Let's go to the... Oh, wait, there's a video. Shit. Let's go watch that, huh? Can I maximize it?
I have $50,000 in student debt.
I left college with about $30,000 in student debt.
$22,000 in student loans. $70,000 worth of student debt.
$180,000 of student debt.
Supposedly have 28,000 left for illegitimate education. They can go to hell because I'm not going to pay it.
Owned.
Fuck the Department of Education. I'm joining the strike and I'm not going to pay.
Yeah, sound off with how much you're in student debt in the chat if you got it. Go ahead.
Today, I'm going to burn this in solidarity with all of you, with all my family.
I'm standing with all of you guys in solidarity. We're gonna burn this debt together, guys.
This is for all the indebted students. May they be free.
They had to put a disclaimer that said filmed February 7th before social distancing so people wouldn't try to cancel them for not wearing masks in their video. We got some people in the chat. Married with $28K in student debt, $3K in student debt, $5,000 not done yet from Danger Jeff, $13K from Dark Shadow Rule, $9K from Cupcake, $30K left from Dustbouse, $43K from Spooky Midwestern. You know what we should do, Marcus? We should add up all... Dame Karen says $20K. We should add up all the student debt and figure out how many Twitch subs that could be that they could gift to us if they didn't have that debt.
Well, I think it would be easier just to find out how many minutes Bone Breaker A would have to work in order to pay all that off. That'd be easier.
No, because he probably makes a shit ton of money for his bullshit job.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Sorry, 20K plus 30K, 28K, all that shit, add it all up. How many minutes, to tens of minutes of work for such a capitalist like Bone Breaker A, just to be able to pay all that off. Like Bezos, that's seconds, but Bone Breaker A, maybe up to 2 to 3 minutes. And he's got like $100,000.
Good point.
And they are a comrade now.
Yeah, officially. You're on a list, Bone Breaker. If you're still here, you're just lurking now. If you're still here and you're lurking, you are on a list. You implied that you were an intelligence agent. You're like one of those weirdos. You tried to do like a vague thing that made it sound like you might be a spook. Well, there are actual spooks watching this stream right now, and you've been added to the list. The next convening of the House on Un-American Activities Commission, when that comes about, you're going to be standing tall before the man with us.
Yeah.
You're gonna look over when we're tied to those posts, getting ready for the firing squad to come off. Be like, why did I ever jump in your chat? I'm not even a commie. Wrong. You're a commie now.
You're done.
We're going down together, bro.
Yeah, done.
All right. I think Marcus and I both actually have to take off. Is there anything you want to cover? House on Un-Americans Activity Committee, Daddy. Me, Daddy. HUAC me, Daddy. Is there anything else you want to cover before we hop off, Marcus?
No, but I think it would be helpful. Shit. Before we jump off, here we go. I'm gonna throw the link for the donation to help the efforts to stop the war in Yemen, and as well that link, it's attached to just a bunch of other stuff that you could help inform you, or help print off some literature that you can cyberbully your representatives with. And remember, Ro Khanna said that he's going to be partnering with Bernie Sanders to introduce the War Powers Act, so that the U.S. stops supporting Saudi Arabia. That's the reason why the genocide's going on. So yeah, do that, and that's all. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yes, donate. Obviously, we started the stream talking about International Day of Action, global action against the war in Yemen. We covered a bit of many of the reasons that we are ignoring that conflict intentionally, because we are complicit in it, and we're directly contributing to thousands of lives being lost every single fucking day. It's the world's largest humanitarian crisis, and it must stop. So we please support that War Resolutions Act that Ro Khanna and Bernie are going to introduce, and make sure your reps do as well. But in the meantime, you can donate at stopwar.org.uk. /donate. All right. On that note, let's send you guys to IDAN. Does that sound good, Marcus?
Yeah.
IDAN Simpson is dope. Tell him the Jeep State sent ya. He is. You have to become an IDAN simp. His IDAN Simpson, to join his chat. He's a beautiful man. He makes beautiful memes, and he's a far better producer of Twitch than we are, but don't tell him we said that, okay? All right. Bye-bye, chat. We love you. Bye-bye. Raid is complete. Let me end the stream.